Hi folks, Adam here to give you another tutorial on how to use YED and the Transmin mineral processing icons in order to draw simple and communicative flow sheets for mineral processing. Today we're going to do the first example that I'll offer you, which will be, for example, a heap leach. So let's just bring in a title block and just give it a head, double click on that and call it heap leach. Example, flow sheet, and we'll just leave the rest of it. So presumably we start with a ROM bin, bring that in, probably a dump truck dumping into the ROM bin, so they're at the bottom here. Let's bring a dump truck up here. I think people understand that that's the mine delivering the ore to the ROM bin. So then we'd need a crusher, probably a jaw crusher, and we would feed that directly, but oftentimes you'll have a grizzly first in order to reduce the amount of wear in the jaw. So let's just find the grizzly icon under classification here somewhere. Oh, come on. There it is. So put the grizzly there, and we'll take the oversize from the grizzly and put it in the jaw. We'll feed the grizzly from the ROM bin. And now we're going to need a connector under the jaw that's going to connect the undersize from the grizzly to the product from, right? If things aren't going well, just right click and it'll sort itself out. So just get that lined up. You can see everything goes snap when everything's lined up right. So just using my mouse left button in order to drag the streams from one to the other. You'll notice that I've double clicked previously on the mineral processing streams arrow, and that gives me that arrow one like that. Okay, so far so good. I guess what we're going to do now is probably a secondary crusher, which would be a cone crusher probably here. And we'll put the product straight into the secondary crusher. We'll do this in open circuit. And but I'm just thinking now, we might want to keep it choke fed. One way to do that would be to have a stockpile. So we'll bring the stockpile and put it over the top of that stream. And when we let go, you'll see that it'll split the stream in two. But now we've got it the wrong way. We've got it coming in the bottom and out the top, which doesn't look right. So what we'll do is we'll bring that, I don't know, let's reroute that. Let's just delete them. This one here we can bring down like that and bring up like that. So that looks better. And this one here, we'll just bring it out, bring it up. I've released the mouse on my button on my mouse. Click once, that sort of gives an anchor point, and then back down to the top of the stockpile. That looks good. Let's go for a cone crusher for tertiary as well. But before we do that, I guess we should probably have a screen. So the screen here is this icon here. And we'll take the product from the secondary crusher, click once for the mouse to give an anchor point, click again, comes onto the screen. Oversize comes into the jaw. And we'll put an anchor point here below the tertiary crusher, where we Control Z and undo that. Click on that. And the undersize from the grizzly, go there as well, but you can see it didn't line up perfectly, so we'll just pull it down with a mouse like that. Okay, so we've got a crushing plant just about done. Let's leave that for the time being. Now obviously if I wanted to label things, I could do this. I'll put ROM bin here in the properties window. So in the properties view, you got the text. You can change things about the labels, and I'm not going to explain all this. You're going to have to work it out for yourselves. But you can change different things here under the properties window. But the one that we do use is text. Once you do have a text box, you can double click it here and edit it. For example, if you wanted to use Control and Enter, you could have a 2-line label like that. But I'm not going to take your time to show you all the labels right now. Let's get on and do the heap leach. So first of all, we need a heap to do a heap leach. So that's up. I use one of these stockpiles here, so we'll just put the heap on there. We're going to do an agglomeration before the heap, so let's just grab an agglomeration drum and put that there, and we'll take the agglomeration product and put that onto the heap. Very nice. Usually you'll have a few different ponds. Some ponds down at the bottom here. Let's take the pond and we'll do a copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and we'll have 3 ponds. So we'll make one of them the raffinate. We'll just call that raf pond. And then this one, let's call this the PLS pond. And then we'll make this one the intermediate leach solution, so ILS pond for this one. Okay, so we've got 3 ponds. Usually the discharge from the heap leach is going to go either to the PLS or to the ILS. So you can see that when you first do it, maybe they don't come up perfectly, but you can just grab it and make them look a little neater afterwards. Just drag them around like that. Doesn't look too bad. Raffinate is usually the thing that would create the leach solution that you would put onto the heap. So let's just go ahead and grab the solution from the raffinate pond and put that onto the heap. Okay. And you'd also irrigate with ILS as well, right? So it's an intermediate leach solution that you might want to irrigate with occasionally, so put that on there as well. Okay, so we've got the ore coming on, and we've got the 2 different leach solutions. If you wanted to have 2 different heaps, you know, indicating that it goes from being leached by, you know, ILS producing PLS, then we could do it. Why don't we do that? Let's just put this, I'll just copy and paste this heap and create this one here. So we can have two different stages, and we can put an arrow between them, but maybe we'd have the arrow between them as an intermediate, intermittent. So let's just do an intermittent transfer from being a PLS producing heap into being an ILS producing heap. So I'm going to grab the anchor point from there and bring it onto this one. All right, this might be better. Here we go. So now we can see we've got the, I'm going to use that anchor point there on the line just in order to reroute these. So removing any crossovers from the ponds is always a good idea. It's always nice to remove those crossovers. And so we've got ILS producing PLS, but then the raffinate pond, maybe bring that back over here, because this is now going to irrigate the ILS, you know, the latter part of the leaching. So the fresh ore comes on the fresh heap. It produces PLS, getting irrigated ILS. Try to keep the line straight as much as we can. Not always possible. And then we're going to be irrigating raffinate onto this depleted ore. That's going to produce ILS. Fantastic. So now we've got how we're going to get it from the crushing plant in the agglomeration. So we can just bring this this down here and route it around like that. But maybe we want to have like a truck bringing them over, so we can come down and just bring a truck in. What kind of truck can we use? The whole truck. Put that over the top. All right, so now we've got the ore getting transported by truck to the agglomeration plant. In the agglomeration plant, maybe we want to add some reagents, right? So we won't always show all the water. I think water's pretty boring generally. But what we can do is show, for example, the acid, right? So let's put acid getting added to agglomeration. And oftentimes you might be adding acid to the raffinate or the ILS pond as well. So this is where you kind of want to avoid too many crossovers. How can we do this? Let's just do a little stream connector on there, and then we can bring in some acid into the ILS pond as well. Okay, so that's how we get the idea. We're not going to mess around with different colors on those streams, because you just end up getting yourself in a mess with all different colors. So let's just keep the coloring simple. Now we can move on probably onto the solvent extraction plant. So down in the hydromet area here, we've got a bunch of different hydromet things. The first one I noticed, the electrowinning, we'll definitely need that. Here's the solvent extraction here. So we're going to take the PLS and product. So let's just move that one down, move that one up. You see I spent a lot of time just moving things around to make them all fit the right way. Okay, it's probably better that the PLS would be like this, and we can move the raffinate. So we want to come into solvent extraction and back out into the raffinate pond. But before we do that, we're going to have extraction stages, and then we'll maybe have like a wash stage to wash the organic of any impurities that would contaminate the electrowinning. And then we have the stripping of the cleaned organic. Okay, so we'll have these 3 different stages here. So this is the mixer settler, and then the first thing to settle out would be the aqueous, and then at the end, presumably the organic. So the organic is going to go from the extract. Let's just label those so we don't get confused. So we'll call this SX extract. And we'll call this one SX wash. And we'll call this one SX strip. Now you'll notice I didn't bother, like, oftentimes you might have 2 stages of extract or 2 stages of washing. I'm not going to bog down the flow sheet with multiple stages. In the same way that up here in crushing, we've got primary, secondary, and tertiary crushing. Often there might be 2 or 3 different crushers in parallel. What we could do here, we could put, if we wanted to, we could put tertiary crusher, and then just times 3 or something like that. We can do this kind of thing. Let's just put a Control Enter on there, and then we can get the 2 rows. And as you can see now, we've got, just bring that one down, give it a bit more space. So now you can see we've got this nice tertiary crusher times 3, and that's much cleaner for the flow sheet than having to draw 3 different crushers. Okay. All right, getting back to solvent extraction. So we've got the PLS coming in, so we take the PLS out of the pond, and then we'll bring this into the mixer for the solvent extraction stage. This is going to produce a raffinate, and then we'll need to put the raffinate from here up into the raffinate pond. So we'll just go around for that, put that there for the now. Give it a bit more room that way. So we've got the organic coming into the wash. We've got the raffinate coming out like that. That's fine. The wash is going to be washed with water. As I mentioned, we're not always going to put all the water on there. So presumably the water would be fresh water coming in, and then we would have the contaminated water from the washing of the organic. We'd probably put that back into like somewhere like the PLS pond or somewhere like that. But it's going to be a bunch of streams that are just going to make legibility of the flow sheet worse, so let's just not bother doing that, unless that was the point of the diagram. If it's important for the diagram, go for it. Otherwise, if it's just about the main process flow sheet, don't confuse it with the minor streams. So stripping, the stripping solution is going to be the aqueous is going to come into electrowinning. I guess we're going to probably have to do this the wrong way around, so we'll come in from the right. We're always trying to go from left to right, but some cases like this one, you can see it's actually better and easier to come in the wrong way around and have just tweak it a bit, try to get some sort of nice orderly lineup like that. That's not too bad, I suppose. So we've got the rich solution coming into electrowinning and the lean solution coming back into solvent extraction. And the organic would come back around, back into extract again, which seems pretty reasonable. Okay. And then from the electrowinning, I guess the product would be cathodes. We've got a cathodes in here somewhere. This is an anode. This is a cathode. So maybe we've got that. So we've got, the final product being cathodes. The type. All right, so there we have it. We've got, how are we looking here? We've got 2 stages of heap leaching. We've got agglomeration with acid. We've got our PLS pond, ILS pond, and a raffinate pond. And they're feeding 3 stages of solvent extraction. The solvent extraction rich solution comes electrowinning, goes back to the mixer settler for more stripping after it's been depleted. So that's I guess that's what an acid. Oh, sorry. try to keep the streams to the right. Yeah, sorry, to the left. I usually try to keep these all lined up. Okay, and you know, say we wanted to give something more room, you could grab this whole crushing section here and just grab it all like that with your mouse, maybe with a title block as well, and you can move that whole lot up and down like that, or left and right. You can see that you can sort of move things around so that you make best use of the space. Obviously, you want to know whether you're going to put it on a PowerPoint slide or on a Word document. Okay, but there you go. There's a heap leaching flow sheet example in YED.